Hi everyone. Today I'm going to talk about the final three different photo techniques that we have as part of our studies on photography for Multimedia English 1. These three techniques are night photography, panning, and one added technique called reflections. All three of these are very interesting. And so I hope that you too will find them worthwhile and worth trying in your own studies and your project for that matter. I'm going to be reading a little bit of information from the prints as I go through these different techniques. So you might also want to follow along with what I'm saying. Are you ready? Here we go. All right, the first one here, number 12, is night photography. This technique can be used to create amazing pictures at night. For this kind of photography, a tripod is very useful for clear photos. And adding some foreground item will create a greater depth to the picture. And most of the time, the results will look even more brilliant. Let's look at some examples. Here is a typical night scene of a city, and you can see that the neon lights and signs, as well as people walking around, are very interesting and beautiful. This is an unusual photograph of a launch of the space shuttle from the Florida rocket base. You recognize this as the starry sky with the Milky Way. Unfortunately, we don't get to see this very often anymore due to light pollution. Okay, the next action shots and panning, number 13. We saw one just then with the car, but panning and action shots are photographs of fast-moving action, and they are quite common and exciting. When taking photos of action, you can, 1, follow the subjects with the camera as you wait for the action to happen, or 2, focus the camera on a particular spot and wait for the action to come to you. Let's look at some examples here. A very beautiful picture here. This has color. This has the action of the huge wave and the man surfing down the side of it. And it also has here some leading lines that help you follow his movement. Okay, a dog is clearly running from the right to the left. Probably the camera is moving with the dog in this case. Cute girl, probably dancing for her school play. This is actually a real photograph of a storm, probably on a prairie in North America. But you can get a very good sense of movement from the central area here with the rain falling. And you can even imagine the movement of the upper clouds too. Very simple, but also very terrifying kind of picture. That's a very violent storm. Finally, we have reflections. And reflections are basically photographs that are taken off of water, mirrors, and other surfaces that somehow show imagery coming back to the camera from somewhere else. Let's look at these. Here we have panning and leading lines in the form of car lights, a little bit of rays of light up here, and some more leading lines going down to the reflection in the water. This is also a night photograph, which gives you a sense of how complicated and also beautiful this technique can be. Another one here. Lots of rays of light and reflection off of a pool of water in front of the night-lit building. I'm not sure if this is real, but it's very interesting. A reflection from the sky that the dog seems to be looking at. This one is real. I think it's in South America. A mirror, I think, was used here with a simple glass of daisies put on top. Probably this photograph is upside down. Still, it's very interesting. You could do this yourself, I think, very easily as part of your project. Why don't you give it a try? Windows of buildings these days also frequently serve as mirrors. And this is my photograph that I took when I was camping in the desert in the United States. This is actually the hood of my car, or the front of my car, with the sunrise reflected on it. This is one of my favorite photos. Finally, a bubble in midair, captured just at the right spot. Here in the middle, you can see the photographer and the background of the house and the place in the yard where the photo was taken. Very pretty, and can remind me or anyone else who's looking at the photo of dreams. So what you think? There are a lot of other photo techniques that we can use and make our photos more interesting, but that's about all the time that we have for the introduction. As a final note of photographic techniques, I have the last bit of advice here, and that is practice, practice, practice. Beginners can expect that many of their photos will not be so good at first. Practice is necessary, so many shots have to be taken. However, since you can delete images on digital cameras, practice only costs time. Moreover, photo editing software allows you to improve the image by trimming unwanted parts of your photos away and by changing the contrast and colors. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we get started with your photo project. That's all for now. Bye.